Welcome once again to Dueling Columnists. I'm Scott Rich.
And I'm Chris Cusack.
And first thing we're going to be discussing today is Duke football. Last week, Duke football won their second game of the year against Navy. Had it in the bag early, but Navy came back, made it a very close game. This week, Duke plays Virginia at home, which is one of the teams in the ACC that people thought going into the season that this Duke team could beat. Going into this weekend, after what happened last week and after what's happened to this team this season, do you think Duke gets to win this weekend?
Well, absolutely. I think they've got a very good chance to win this weekend. Obviously, Sean Renfree probably won't complete 28 of 30 passes again. I think that's something that, obviously is an anomaly. It was a record-breaking weekend. But still, the team has played pretty well over the last 4 weeks, Renfree aside. They were in the Miami game until Renfree threw 6 interceptions. And really, the story hasn't been about a three-phase breakdown. The defense has played well. The running game has been good. The special teams have been all right. It's really just been about poor decision-making from the quarterback position. I think Renfree's made good strides clearly last week, and I think if he can continue to do that, Duke will win.
And no, I think this is definitely going to be a very close game, but I don't see Duke winning this game just because, for 2 reasons. First, Virginia is a much better team than people give them credit for, and they showed that last week by beating Miami. Yes, Miami has been a little overrated all year, and Ja'Cory Harris has had his problems, but they're still Miami, and anytime you beat Miami, that says something good about your program. And at the same time, I agree, Sean Renfree showed a lot of improvement last week, and Duke's offense is going to be better. But Duke's defense looked just as poor last week as it really had all season. When Duke was up, 21 or 24 points early, let Navy get back by letting them score, I think, 3 touchdowns in the span of 6 minutes or something. That shouldn't happen to an ACC football program against a school like Navy. And the fact that that's happening makes me very, very wary about this Duke defense going into playing an ACC team. They haven't shown the ability to stop an ACC team and an ACC offense yet this season. And as good as the offense looked and as well as Sean Renfree may play, you can't win a game when you're getting outscored.
But yeah, I don't think Virginia is anywhere near the caliber of team Navy is. They've been blown out by every good team they've played with the exception of Miami. And the only 3 wins they have are against Virginia Military Institute, James Madison, and I'm blanking now, but 3 bad teams. I'm sorry, I can't remember the last.
We'll trust you on that one.
Yeah, three really bad teams. And Navy's 5-3. Or 5-2 before the Duke game. Navy's a good team. Duke came in and beat them. I don't think there's any comparison between Navy and Virginia.
Again, I agree with you there, but again, Navy is a team that Duke's defense matched up a little bit better on. As one of the military schools, they run a lot. They run the triple option, and that's something that Duke's defense is at least better suited for. Duke's defense the whole year, the weakness has been the secondary. And Navy didn't take advantage of that as much as a team like Virginia will, who's, they're not a good ACC team, but they're still an ACC team, and they're still going to have an ACC caliber quarterback. And I'm just not confident in the ability of Duke's secondary to shut down any legit passing attack.
But what does an ACC caliber quarterback mean? I don't see any good quarterbacks in the league this year, or in the conference this year. And it was Eastern Michigan was the 3rd team that.
There you go. Say about it.
Yeah, there you go. But I see no good quarterbacks in the ACC. Ja'Cory Harris was the best one, and he's been awful all year.
That's true.
I think it's really, I don't see any great quarterbacks in the league. And I just don't think that's going to be a big deal.
But again, there's a difference between the worst ACC quarterback and Navy's best quarterback. And I think that's something that Duke's going to have to deal with. Well, let's move on to our next topic. I cut you off there just so I could get the last word in. Let's move on to our next topic, which is Duke basketball. Today, Duke finished off its exhibition season by defeating Cal Poly Pomona in a game that was much closer than anybody expected. That's why I'm just so snazzily. I just came from the game. Duke was only up 6 points at halftime, ended up winning the game by 21. My question to you, Chris, is can Duke fans and college basketball fans in general learn anything from these exhibition games?
No. The short answer is no. Absolutely not. Look, Duke's put up 2 very different exhibition games so far. A rout of St. Augustine's and this kind of underwhelming performance against Cal Poly Pomona. And obviously they're very different teams. St. Augustine's is not nearly on the caliber or on the same level as Cal Poly Pomona, who won the Division II championship last year. But look at what happened with Syracuse last year. They lost to Lemoyne in an exhibition game. Division II, kind of a mediocre Division II Lemoyne team that didn't go on to do anything, and Syracuse went on to be a great squad all season in the Big East. So I think it really, you can't learn anything from these games.
Well, I agree that you can't learn anything based off, the score, winning or losing an exhibition game. But I do think you can learn a lot about the team just by looking not necessarily at the stats or at the score, but at individual performances. I look at this game, I saw Mason Miles Plumlee struggling to guard a 6'9" center from Cal Poly Pomona, who really only had one offensive move, this one spin move he went to every possession. And Duke's two big men really had some trouble guarding him. That makes me a little bit concerned. I see the fact that Seth Curry and Andre Dawkins off the bench were turning the ball over. That makes me concerned. Now, obviously, Duke ended up winning the game. There were some very strong performances. Kyrie Irving looked fantastic. Kyle Singler looked fantastic. But as a fan, when you see these negative performances, such as the inability to guard someone down low, problems rebounding, problems turning the ball over, those are going to happen no matter what the quality of your opponent is. And I think Duke's staff can learn that that's what they need to work on in this next, week and a half before the regular season starts. I think the team will benefit from having some of their weaknesses exposed now as opposed to later.
But, I think all those things you mentioned were things that the Duke coaching staff knew before this game. Miles and Mason have never been great defensively. They've often looked lost in the post. I think Andre Dawkins didn't get a lot of playing time last year because he turns the ball over. He's not great holding onto the ball. I think at the end of the day, these games are only just further proof of what we already know. And even that said, I think Duke coaches can probably learn a lot more about what the team's strengths and weaknesses are in practice, in the blue and white scrimmage. I think when you're running your starting lineup against a backup, a 6 through 10, that's probably better than Cal Poly Pomona by far. I think that's when you really learn about the strengths and weaknesses of the team.
Yeah, but at the same time, you don't get the competitiveness of a real basketball game in those scrimmages. When at the blue and white game, you could tell at certain points in the game that the teams weren't really all that into it. They knew they were playing against their buddies. It wasn't that big of a deal to them. And yes, you can say the same thing about an exhibition game now. But when you look at this game, Duke for the first time had to play against a team that really, really wanted to win this game. Cal Poly Pomona came out with an intense energy. First play out of the gate, their center stole the ball right out of Nolan Smith's arms after the tip-off, took it for a dunk. Their whole team was energized, and they played with that energy. Duke is not going to play against a team that has that energy in the scrimmage. They're not going to do that in the blue-white game. And that's where you learn something about your team. You learn something about your team when they're faced with adversity, when going into halftime, they're only up 6 against a Division II team. This game could have gone one of two ways. Obviously, Duke came out and had a big run and ended up winning this game. But Duke could have gone the other way. They could have collapsed. They could have pulled a Syracuse from last year. And then there would have been some legitimate concerns about this game. And that's something you're only going to learn from an exhibition game and not from playing, 1 through 5 or 6 through 10.
But I think real adversity only comes when you're not necessarily, or you're evenly matched. And, it's hard to face.
This was a very good team, though. They're a Division II team, but this team had talent.
Oh, I'm not trying to take anything away from Cal Poly Pomona. They are a very good team. But when you're the defending national champions, who supposedly have gotten better, this shouldn't be a contest. And at the end of the day, they're at every position, Duke has a better player than Cal Poly Pomona's equivalent.
Again, but it was a contest, and that teaches Duke a little bit something about their team. It teaches them that they have problems in the post they need to fix. It teaches them that they have problems rebounding they need to fix, and it teaches them they have problems turning the ball over they have to fix. They're not going to learn that in a scrimmage when everyone is already sort of, not treating it seriously. These players had to treat this game seriously when it was a 6-point game, and that's when you really saw what some issues were that they need to fix.
Well, I guess we'll see how they respond. They've got Princeton in their first real game on November 14th.
Yep, that basketball season is fast approaching. You can smell it in the air. That's going to be it for Dueling Columnists. Thanks for watching.